don't need a high-end designer or a lot of money to get a luxe look. Be your own interior designer.
This is Affordable Interior Design, the podcast.
Here's your host, Betsy Helmuth.
All right, let's get to my next question. My next question comes from Desiree. Desiree is writing all the way from Australia. I love my international listeners. It's so exciting to hear that our design dilemmas are universal, right? You write, Desiree, Betsy, I've started listening to your show and I love it. I'm in the process of designing our family home on a very tight budget. We moved in 18 months ago with our now 4-year-old girl and 6-year-old boy. My current issues are the layout of the living room. Currently, we have a couch facing the east wall, but it just doesn't feel right, so I cannot rest. The fireplace is centered on the east wall, which for me is making it difficult to find the right layout. My other problem is that the side of the room, which was the dining room, is far too small to be a dining room. We desperately need an office for my husband's business that I can hide his bookwork in. Do you have any suggestions for this space that would also work in the living room? I've taken your quiz and it says I have a contemporary style. I love white, light timber, grays, and blacks. I'm going to work on incorporating dusty pink. Please help. My brain needs a rest. Well, people, you may be wondering, what quiz is she referring to? So if you go to my website, affordableinteriordesign.com, if it's the first time you've ever been there, you'll see a pop-up that says Design Quiz. You can take the quiz to understand what your style is and what you should be honing in on as you're shopping so that you can clearly label your look. All right, Desiree, let's dive right in. Contemporary, for those of you who don't know, just means what's happening now. So a lot of people misinterpret that as modern interior design. Modern in terms of interior design refers to an era back in the 50s and 60s with a lot of lacquer, black, white, bold primary colors, sleek surfaces, super clean lines, very austere. And contemporary instead refers to what's popular, what's happening right now. Right now, it's clean lines, it's airy, it's sleek and simple, not overly carved or ornate. And contemporary is not always going to be defined with those words. As our collective style changes, that style will adapt as well and still be called contemporary. Whereas the other styles are sort of locked in their framework, right, of what they were and what they are, like beachy, boho, modern, rustic, industrial. All of those are kind of locked in, and the definitions won't really change drastically over time. All right, now that we all got that little bit of education, let's look at your pictures. Guys, I'll do my best to describe them for our listeners, but if you want to see Desiree's pictures, head over to either our podcast page, affordableinteriordesign.com/podcast, or you can head to our YouTube channel. And yes, Desiree, I see what you mean. This room is quite challenging. It's an L-shaped room with the larger part of the L being that living area and the smaller part of the L being that sort of alcove or desk area you're referring to. Additionally, your fireplace is off center on one of the longest unbroken walls. So, we know due to interior design that the fireplace is the architectural focal point. In your case, the actual opening of the fireplace is quite small, so it may not be that visually compelling. It may be more of just a true heat source. Now, I do not normally give layout advice on the show. It's the one piece of advice I don't give because I like to do my due diligence and try every possible option. In your case, the solution for this room is smacking me in the face. I need to tell you, and I need to tell the listeners who are scrolling through these pictures what the solution should be, because this room is very tricky. It not only has a fireplace that's off center and on the longest usable wall, it also has a mini split up top for air conditioning and maybe even heating. It has a bay window if you're looking at the fireplace on the right-hand side. I imagine it has an opening right after that bay window for moving around clockwise. Yep, there's the opening. And it's just got a lot going on. Now, I don't have every angle, so while I'm 90% sure that this solution will work, I'm not 100%. So you'll want to check it on your own because really I need floor plans, I need measurements. This is how I roll when creating an accurate layout. But what I would do is I would move this chaise sofa so that it's in front of the bay window. Then it's going to be facing the second longest unbroken wall, which of course is opposite the bay window and is right as you turn to get to that alcove, which is going to be the new office space. Now, this means that you're not going to be facing the fireplace, but you will be able to see it on an angle because it's offset on that other wall that's perpendicular to the bay window. So you'll be able to see it at an angle. And then you'll be moving the TV to the new wall that's opposite the bay window. Now, this wall is quite long and it's opposite something very heavy, the bay window with the sofa in front of it centered. That's visually and physically heavy. So you'll want to fill the wall with the TV, perhaps with bookcases flanking the TV. So that way that wall has a little bit more visual presence and feels more balanced opposite that sectional. Then you're asking me, Betsy, what am I going to do next to that fireplace? Well, I highly suggest that you put a wonderful decadent reading chair in that corner with a lamp, with a small stool for a mug of whatever it is. I guess you're in Australia. Maybe you don't need a mug. Maybe you need like an iced tea. I've actually been watching Kath and Kim. What do they drink? I don't know what they drink, but I know they eat muesli. Is that how you say it? Muesli? I just love Kath and Kim, and I've gone through the entire series once when I was on vacation in Rhode Island. I just would binge it as soon as the kids went to sleep. And then, now that I've finished it and there appear to be no new seasons coming out, I'm just rewatching it all and finding new little nuggets and laughing all over again. If you have not seen Kath and Kim, I don't actually know how they feel about it in Australia, but here in the States, I think it is hysterical. Okay, I digress. So I would put a beautiful, cozy, comfy reading chair with ottoman, and I think that's going to crack this room design wide open. I, don't want to pat myself on the back, but also if you've been listening to this podcast, I'm not afraid to do so. I'm patting myself on the back right now, Desiree, because I just solved all your problems. Good luck. Go get them. Go move that couch and experience sweet, sweet layout freedom. A big thank you to Aton and the Embassy who wrote our theme song. A shout out to Catherine Heller who owns the podcast shop and is our editor extraordinaire. We also want to thank Ginny Sunasan and her team at the Savvy Podcast Agency for their help with our social, our YouTube channel, and so much more. We also want to thank Uploft, which is our parent company who supports this podcast. And lastly, we owe a huge debt of gratitude to you. Thank you so much for tuning in and for all your support.